Hey everybody, it's Kay Gray. Today's topic is about stigma around diagnosis and the importance of self-disclosure. Something that I think people don't realize is that we tend to judge people based on our own experience. And the way that our brain works is that we don't really recognize something unless we already have the brain pathways associated with it. So if you introduce a new idea or a new concept to somebody and they have absolutely no framework around it in their heads already from past experience or from, programming, from genetics, then they literally won't be able to process what it is that you're trying to tell them. And I think we run into that a lot as a society. We expect people to understand us, even though that without taking the time to really understand whether that person is even on the same page with us or not. And I think that especially the disability community or any marginalized community, what's missing is an empathetic response in the listener or the oppressor or whatever, the people that don't get us. And it's literally because they don't have our lived experience. So they don't have the brain pathways that would light up in that moment when you're trying to convey your own experience to them. So as I've been getting into I wouldn't say the work world, at least the school world, but I've also been exploring the work world this past semester just to see what is available in terms of accommodations and placement for people with disabilities. And I have found that by and large, neurotypical people or non-disabled people really don't want to hear that you're disabled. They, at least that's what they think. And I've been advised so many times not to self-disclose about my disabilities. And the crazy thing is that everything that I'm learning in psychology is in opposition to that. Because if you don't create an empathetic response in someone, they are going to be closed off from you. So something that disabled people deal with all the time is stigma, right? We deal with people assuming that we are one way or another, or that we're scary, or that we're diseased. Like, those are all evolutionary traits of like being afraid of something you don't understand and being afraid of something that's different. But the more that somebody has information about who you actually are and about your experience, the less they're going to have that fear response, and the more welcoming they're going to be towards you. So it's pretty commonly accepted that you don't self-disclose at work, and I think that that's a mistake, because just telling people that I'm autistic, that's what I start my conversations with now. Hi, how's it going? I'm Kira. I'm autistic. Right off the bat, it slows people down from making judgments. And their judgments of me, especially, like in my experience, people have judged me pretty harshly, especially on first impression. And I really don't know what it is that they don't like. But just starting the conversation with I'm autistic turns them off from their instant, like, oh, you're not making the right kind of eye contact or facial expressions or whatever, because our society really like pushes that stuff as being normal and sociable. So just saying that, automatically they're like, oh, well, then maybe I won't look for those markers as being normal. I'll look for something else. And especially now, the conversation is changing around autism and disability in general. And I think that people are more open to, they don't have, unless they're like over 50, over 60, they're not going to have a very clear idea of what that means when you say that you're autistic. They may have especially in younger generations, there'll be more curiosity and a pause and like, oh, maybe I shouldn't tread on that, and not make judgments. Often what I get is like, oh, well, I understand that if you meet one person with autism, you only meet one person with autism. So what does that mean for you? And I think that I've experienced that more than anything. And then the other side of it is that if somebody is judgmental, you're going to know it right there and then. And it's not someone you want to work with. It's not someone you want to spend time with. I did a job fair, well, career fair, I don't know what they're called, a couple months ago, and I started the conversation with every single person the same way. Hi, I'm Kira. I'm autistic. Do you accommodate for people with disabilities? And right off the bat, I could tell the people that I would never, ever want to collaborate with or be in the same room with. It cut down on that wasted time, potentially, if I was masking and pretending like I'm not disabled. And nothing really came of it, in terms of actual work, but that's my thing. But the point is that I could tell right away the people that I would like to spend more time with and the people that I run screaming from. So I think self-disclosure is actually really important. And the more of us that do it, the more normalized it becomes. And the easier it will be for everybody to do it, because we're coming from an era of, we learned the phrase, the Protestant work ethic in social psych. And that basically means that Protestants created this mindset of like, if you're not working hard, then you're horrible and you're going to go to hell, essentially, is what the idea was. And ultimately, I hope you all know that religion was created to, just like capitalism, it's the same idea, for a few to sit at the top and collect all the riches while everybody else is basically their serfs. So we're still living in that system. But I'm not sure how I tangented into that. I do that sometimes. The point is that things are changing, and the more that we change the way that we approach things, I think the more it'll affect other people, and visibility is a really big thing. So the more we talk about it, the more we go into work and say, hey, I hope that you're set up for working with autistic people, because it's a cool new thing, right? Because we are smart in some ways that other people are not. And like, basically go in there and tell them that either they can join the party or lose out on a lot of positive traits, a lot of positive things that we bring to the table. And I haven't touched much on stigma, and I just wanted to say that mental health stuff used to be a really scary topic, and I get it. I think a lot of us understand why boomers are so afraid of saying, oh, I went to the therapist, because a therapist used to be potentially some guy shoving an ice pick in your skull. And that was considered therapy, or shock therapy. Like, it was really scary. It was torture, and institutions and stuff like that. So we're definitely coming out of, I don't know if we're totally coming out of the dark ages, but we're coming out of darker ages. And that's my dog walking by. Sorry, I'm a little scattered tonight, but we're coming out of some darker ages, and so people are still scared of talking about therapy and medications and stuff, but it is changing. Like I said, it is changing, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay to say, hey, I've been struggling, let's go find out what it is. And it's not easy, diagnosis isn't easy. Mostly because of lack of access, and not knowing the words that you need to say. And like, it's a really long haul to be able to get diagnosed. But I think for most people, it is worth it, especially when you figure out that if you've really been disabled, like you can't work or you can't do school because of these challenges that you're having, you're going to start finding that there's, accommodations, and you can get medication, and just you stop beating yourself up about it, really. And that's really the big bonus to getting diagnosed, is that you're not stigmatizing yourself anymore. So yeah, I think that's the gist of it. And just want you to know that it's important to be yourself. And just like, when we were all coming out as queer a couple decades ago, it's okay to come out as neurodivergent. I think it's important for other people to know. All right. See you guys later.